Ron Harris is a multi-platinum producer, songwriter, performer. He's former A&R executive. He has worked with Christina Aguilera, Gwen Stefani, Fergie, just to name a few. And he is the director of performance at the Conservatory. Please help me welcome Ron Harris to the panel. Second, I'd like to introduce Jeffrey Skouson. Jeffrey Skouson is one of the world's preeminent vocal coaches. He has literally developed some of the most recognizable voices in the industry, such as Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons, Panic at the Disco, The Killers, and over 30 Broadway stars. He is the director of voice at HVS Conservatory. So honored to have each and every one of you on this panel, by the way. So please help us welcome Jeffrey Skouson to the panel. Next up, I would like to introduce Nikki Flores. Nikki Flores is a fantastic, fantastic talent. Love her to pieces. And she's one of the newest team members at the Conservatory as well. She was signed to Epic Records at the young age of 15. She has worked with hitmakers like Rodney Jerkins, Red One, and Jay Cash. She has 2 Grammy nominations for her work with Nas and Maya. She's a longtime collaborator with JoJo and Haley Kiyoko, and she has so many other credits. But let's welcome Nikki Flores to the panel. Next up is Rob Chiarelli. Rob Chiarelli is a 5-time Grammy Award-winning sound mixer and producer. He has over a dozen multi-platinum and gold records. He has worked with, oh my goodness, this list is so long, I can't even name everybody. But Christina Aguilera, Will Smith, Pink, Tori Kelly, Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Ice Cube, Sting, and so many more. And he's also mixed numerous motion picture soundtracks, commercials, and television shows. Please help me welcome Rob Chiarelli to the panel. Next up, the amazing and very talented producer and songwriting duo, The Orphanage, that consists of Trevor Brown and Zaire Koalo. They have worked with so many people as well. I mean, the list is like insane. Alicia Cara, Demi Lovato, Ella Henderson, Pete Miller, Jordan Fisher, Kalani, Alina Baraz, Rachel Platten. I mean, it could seriously go on forever. And they've won 2 Grammys for their work with these artists. Please help me welcome Trevor and Zaire to the panel. Last but very not least, this amazing talent, Sam DeRosa. She was just nominated for a Grammy this year. Congratulations, yes. She is a multi-platinum singer, songwriter, musician from New York City. She has worked with BB Rexa, Snoop Dogg, Lucas Graham, Jonas Blue, just to name a few. And people in Billboard magazines are saying she is the artist to watch this year. So please help us welcome Sam DeRosa. So we're going to be sharing microphones today because they only have that few. But, so what we're going to do, I'm going to start off with asking them some questions that I think you would want to know. And then we're going to open it up to the audience. So the one thing that I ask from you audience members is to please keep your questions concise because we are on a strict time clock here. And I want to make sure that everything gets done in the most efficient and effective way for every single one of you and you get what you want from this. Oh yes, and once we do open it up to the audience for questions, we've got this amazing microphone. It's a chat box that they're going to throw around and just raise your hand. They'll throw you the microphone and then you can use it to ask your question so that we can hear what you're saying, okay? So the first question I'm going to ask is to Ron Harris.
Okay, why do I have to go first, right? All right, okay, bring it on.
Because you love it.
Okay, all
you
right,
know
bring
you
it
love
on.
it.
Bring it on.
So I'm sure most of these artists in the audience are wondering, what makes an artist stand out in this saturated market?
What a question. Right? It's like, well, it could be different things. And I think that, I'm just going to give you an insight, from an executive point of view. The way you want to think about it, like when you're an artist, is like you want to think about, are you telling a story? What makes you different than someone else, right? Because imagine there's a million, gajillion singers out there. But what makes you stand out? How is your storytelling ability? Is your strength your vocals, or is your strength your vibe? Because it can be either or. And your goal as an artist is when you get that meeting, when you get to get in that room for that first meeting, don't necessarily think that you're going to out-sing someone else, right? Because that's the mistake that so many people, well, I'm just the best singer in the world. And,
so true.
And that's not it, right? You've got to have these other intangibles, right? You've got to have the magic. You've got to have the cry in your voice. You've got to have the pain. Your story that you've lived through has to be in your performance. It has to come out. It has to be deep. And it's like I said, it's not one particular way, right? Because, you can work with artists and everybody can have something different. But the common thread is the passion that's needed in order to what I call shake the room, right? Can you walk in that room and shake the room? You don't have to be the best singer. You better have a combination of the best vibe, who you are, where you want to go, and understand that in that conversation, you want to not necessarily just look for a record deal, because a lot of times people think, oh, I just want a deal, I just want to get signed, I just want a deal. What you actually want to have is a roadmap, right? You want to be able to have a record exec or a record company give you a roadmap to where they see your success can climb, and also with that, are you a star when you walk in the room? Because imagine, say at 10 o'clock, I've got a meeting with Rihanna. At 12 o'clock, I've got a meeting with Beyonce. At 2 o'clock, I got a meeting with Justin Timberlake. And 3 o'clock, I got a meeting with you. Where are you going to be at, right? So you got to think about that. I know. So I'm trying
that's a huge thing.
I'm like, I want your calendar.
I know, seriously.
But that's what it is. You just don't see those other things. So when you get in that room or you get that one shot, they're sitting there and they're looking at you and they're just going, okay, what you got, right? They're not going to tell you about that, but that's what their point of reference is. So you've got to do your due diligence, do your best to make sure that you're ready for that one shot. Because they're going to know within 35 seconds, right? That's it. So it's not, oh, wait till I get to the bridge. Oh, when I get to that bridge, you're going to love me even more, right? So I think that as you carve your way out in this really saturated market, and just because you've got a million, bajillion, people out there singing on TikTok, that doesn't mean that they're stars, right? Because a record exec still wants a star. Now that doesn't mean you can have success through TikTok. You can have that success, but can they get in the room and shake the room to become a mega star? And I think that being an exec, that's what I like to look for, right? When I call my producer buddies and everyone to work with somebody, they've got to have that thing that makes me think about them when I'm grocery shopping. It's like, damn, man, that Nikki is just so fire. I don't know what to say, which is actually what happened, but, So nevertheless, that's what it takes. Just make sure you think about who you are, try and sing from your story, what your reality is, and you got to make sure whatever your journey has been, that is coming from here, and that you got the cry, you got everything that goes with it, and that you are able to move the room. That's it.
Amazing. Thank you for that. I know, because so many of us want to be like the best singer. So many of us want to be the best singers, thinking that, no, being the best singer is what's going to get their attention. And from what I hear from so many of you is that that's not actually the truth, It's really about your vibe and who you are. Yeah, and that's what makes you special and stand out there. So the next question is for Jeffrey Skouson. Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. He flew in from Vegas earlier this morning.
Yeah, very earlier.
very much earlier. Since you've worked with some of the industry's most, legendary singers, what, and on a weekly, if not daily basis sometimes for some of these projects, what is the common thread that these hyper-successful artists have?
It's such a great question, and some of the stuff that Ron was talking about, I think, bleeds over into my world, which is teaching people how to sing. I think the most important thing you have to have that I've watched after 450,000 voice lessons that I've taught.
That's a lot of voice lessons.
It's a lot of voice lessons. I've been doing this for 35 years now. So, number one, I think, is talent. I think you have to show up with some level of gift. You can't be moderately talented. I often tell my clients, it's easier to be an astronaut than it is to be a professional singer.
Whoa.
If you just look at the numbers, there's many, many more astronauts currently functioning in the United States than there are upper tier, high-end performers and singers. So you have to be talented, number one. Number two, you have to be willing to write your own music. Nobody wants to listen to somebody covering some other artists. There's things you can learn by doing that. There's all kinds of developmental things that you can do by covering and performing other artists. But at the bottom line, your audience is going to want to hear you and what you have to offer. You have to have a unique and special talent and color and personality as a singer. The last thing I would say is work ethic. I have been fortunate to train a lot of really high-end performers in lots and lots of different genres, not just in pop, but musical theater and rock and pop. And what I found with all of them over the years of doing this is that they're always prepared. They always know, they show up to a lesson and they tell me what they want to work on that day. I had an opportunity to listen to several of Michael Jackson's lessons years and years ago, and it was so interesting. The lessons always started with, what do you need today? What are you working on today? And then Michael would say to his teacher, I need this, I need to be able to do that. So they're very, very, very involved in that process. It's not a waiting for the voice teacher to tell them what to do. They come prepared, and they use the voice teacher kind of like they would use a dentist or an air conditioning repair guy. There's a job and it needs to be finished. We've got to work on it, we've got to get it done. They don't wait for someone else to tell them how hard to work or how to prepare or how to be prepared. They fundamentally can do that on their own. So those are the three things that I would say are really crucial.
So being talented is one thing, right, as a singer, and that's to be, you're saying, at the very top, right? The very upper echelon of vocals.
Right.
Now, I mean, you can make a really good career as a vocalist doing a lot of other things.
All kinds of other things, yes. I mean, you could be a wedding singer. There's all kinds of things you can do in this business. You can go into education. You may want to teach at a high school level. You may want to teach at university. There's all kinds of things you can do. But when we're talking about those that really have made a mark in the world, there's not a lot of them. Yeah. There's just not a lot. And so you need to really pay attention to what they've done. This is an interesting side note. I had a new young, 17 or 18-year-old girl come in about 3 weeks ago. And I mentioned Michael Jackson. And she had no idea who that was. No idea. In the same conversation, we mentioned Whitney Houston. She had no idea who that was. So the point of that is there's a lot of up-and-coming people in this business that don't think in the same way that you think. I mean, my parents listened to Glenn Miller. I listened to the Beatles. So it changes as time goes on. So that's a really important thing. We've got to keep people educated because there's a lot of people that don't think like we think in this stage, or like you think. So anyway, great question.
Yes, thank you, Jeffrey. The next. I'm the time warden right now, so I just want to get stuff moving so we can get through everything we need to. The next question is for Nikki. Nikki, since you have so much experience as an artist signed to almost every major record label out there, what advice would you give to young up-and-coming artists who are recently signed or looking for a record deal?
Yeah.
Ooh, it's tough. I would say don't make some of the mistakes that I made, and I'm gonna sit here and tell you what those were today. And that is, when you get a record deal, I think we build it up to this big thing in our head, and we finally get in that door, and they're sitting there, all the executives with their arms crossed, and you get the deal, and you feel like, oh my God, I'm so happy to be here, I'm so thankful for this, tell me what to do now, like, you know, what kind of music are we doing? And it's like, it's very opposite, I think, of what you need to be doing when you go into these rooms, is you tell them, you show them. And there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna have something to say about who you are as an artist and what they think you should be doing, what type of style of music, how your voice should sound, how you should dress, how you should look. My last name is Flores, so I had executives telling me, stand in front of a convertible old Impala with, you know, a mini skirt, and I'm like, I don't dance in my music video. So just be prepared for there to be a lot of input, and be prepared to say no. Be absolutely prepared and sure of yourself enough to say, actually, that's not who I am as an artist, that's not where I see myself going. And I think the more that you can stick to your authenticity, the better off you're gonna be, 100%. It took me getting around a lot of other artists. I work a lot more now with developing other artists and writing and producing for other artists, and I learned so much being around these people who won't even pick up their label call if they're in the studio, or just won't even acknowledge that there's that outside pressure input, because at the end of the day, we're all artists, whether you're a writer, producer, sound engineer, whatever, we are all artists. And I think the closer you can get to just being that childlike sense of wonder in your bedroom, playing on pots and pans that we all kind of grew up feeling, the reason why we're in this to begin with, I think you don't put yourself in a position to be swayed. And yeah, end up being shelved. I've had 3 different record deals that didn't end up working out, and I think I learned a really big lesson as far as sticking to your guns, as far as who you are as an authentic artist. And I also think there's another point to this, and it ties a little bit back to what Ron and Jeffrey were talking about, and it's know your story, know your why. Like, what is your why? What's the reason and the message that you're here to share and to spread with people? I think the songwriting community is very oversaturated, and we're here just pumping out songs every single day, and it's very factory-like in a lot of ways nowadays. And I think we lose touch of what is the message? Is there a reason we're here today to speak with each other and to share something with the world? So I think if you go into a session, always try to put that authenticity, that message, as the first and foremost, most important thing in the room. Yeah.
I love that. That's so wonderful. Be authentic and be who you are. So amazing. Ron has something, you have an analogy you like to express about that, right?
Well, the thing is, it's just like what Nikki was saying. I always say this to young artists. I say, look, you have to know, and I heard this from a great producer, Terry Lewis of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, right? And he was telling this artist that we were working with, he's like, look, you gotta know who you are. He said, because you're gonna get in a room and you're gonna let them paint your face. And then you're gonna look in the mirror and you're gonna be like, what you made me look like Bozo, right? And it's like, what do you, why did you see, because if you don't know who you are, then they're gonna tell you, just like Nikki said. They're gonna go, well, you should try this. And you're gonna be so caught up in, I got the deal, I gotta do everything that they ask of me, that you're going to lose sight of really who you are as an artist.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah, thank you.
So the next question's for Rob. Rob, since you have decades of experience on the other side of the booth. Decades! I hope we all do on this stage, right? Since we're talking about this stuff, we're the experts. Yes, do you have any insight for new and up-and-coming artists that are going into the recording studio, working with brand new producers, and they're not familiar with the setting and the producer that they're working with? Do you have any tips for them on how to make it more comfortable?
There are a few things. So with Grammy-winning producers or folks with experience, they're going to make it comfortable for you. Mm-hmm. Everyone is going to be. They're going to know where your vibe is, where you're coming from. They're going to set the mood. They're going to be prepared, which I think everybody's kind of said. Like, preparation is number one, and the level of preparation, which I think you mentioned earlier, is insane at that level. So anyone on this panel and so many others, of course, will have everything ready. But will you be open-minded and prepared to take it to the next level? And if you are, now we have a chance of getting some magic out of the performance. Now the producer's going to know, and he's going to push when it's time to push, pull when it's time to pull. Roll with the punches. Be relaxed, have fun, but be prepared. And let the journey take you. Some days you'll get that performance, other times it's not the right time, right? We all know that, right? We've been through that. Sometimes things don't fall into place. That's okay. But when you're in that room, be prepared. Be ready for the moment, and give it everything you can. And if you're reading the lyrics, I learned this years ago, that's a problem. I mean, you've got to have it. You've got to have it memorized. It's got to be in you. And I think that's every great artist that I've ever worked with has been, unless they're writing it in the moment, and that does happen. But I mean, in terms of getting a great performance out of a singer, an artist, having that memorized and being able to express it the way it needs to be expressed in the studio, that's the only thing you really need to worry about. And the producers and everyone will guide you through that. So, and you don't have to fill your head with all that stuff in terms of like, am I positioned on the mic correct? They'll take care of that. Is the sound of the voice okay? They got you. Let the process unfold the way it's supposed to unfold, because the greatest lesson I've ever learned in my life is to surround myself with great people. And if you can do that, then you'll have a tremendous journey and a great career. So anyway, that's my short answer to that.
Thank you, Rob. And it's true, so many times the singers were wondering, are they picking up my voice well enough? Or the levels? Am I, belting too loud? Like, everything gets taken care of, especially by someone like that. Next question is for the orphanage. Yes. Got a couple questions for you too. So, what do you think about the whole, social media following? Do you think that it's make or break in order to get a record deal? Like, do you have to have that social media following that everyone's telling us we have to have as artists?
Yes. I say yes, you do, and no, I say you don't. Only yes is, like what Nikki was saying, you just need to know who you are, and if you are the type of artist that needs social media to, take your career to the next level, then of course, yes, there are the Dixon Emilios out there who's an incredible person, and I love her. And the type of entertainer that she is, I do feel like she needs social media in order to catapult her career. But then you have artists like, even though she's established, let's just say Adele, who has a great big voice, and just her personality, I personally don't think would fit on the social media site. So I feel like a lot of labels today are looking for new artists that do have a social media presence, and it is tough to get a deal if you do not have a social media presence. We are dealing with that right now with an artist that we work with. Her name is Happy Sometimes, who is she's an amazing singer, amazing producer, and amazing songwriter, but the hurdle of getting her to the next level, which is the deal, is tough because they need to see the numbers on her socials. That's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever it is, they need to see the numbers. So yeah, I think honestly it just depends on the artist. It depends on the person, to be honest. Just know who you are, and if you are the person that needs social media, then be that person. If you feel like you don't need it, be that person. But if it were up to me, if I were trying to be an artist today, I'm guaranteed to use TikTok 100% because it's free marketing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Total free marketing. And then, Trevor, you had mentioned something. You talked about something. He was hosting a songwriting class at the conservatory the other day. And you had mentioned something about getting the 8 out of 10 and then the 3 out of 10. Can you kind of elaborate on that? Because that falls into this category of, are you the social media person or are you not the social media artist,
Absolutely. So if you're an artist and you have a close group of friends and you say, hey, I'm playing a gig, you guys want to come? you're going to be able to reach that little small group of people that you are close with, and that's your niche, whatever. And then if you know, but a lot of times when we're creating, when we're making music, and like especially on TikTok and stuff like that, you're trying to reach 8 out of 10 people because you want as many people to be, like very often you're trying to reach 8 out of 10 people. And so I think, yeah, just knowing whether you want to reach 8 out of 10, or if you're the kind of artist that's like, no, I want to reach this group of people, 2 out of 10, and reach them well. And so, I don't know, it just depends what you want to do as an artist.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys. Trevor, I have another question for you. So if you're a new songwriter or producer on the scene and you're working with a well-known artist, what are the key points and what are the pitfalls of making sure that relationship is successful?
Absolutely. I think I think you gotta, like, when you're working with a very established artist, I think you gotta leave your ego at the door. You know, we're here to serve the artist, and they're the ones that's setting up shop and going touring the world playing your songs. We don't have to tour them. So, you know, if we're gonna be creating with them, we want that creation process to be no ego. We're just trying to serve them like a plumber. Like, I just imagine like your relationship with your plumber. You're just like, did he show up on time? Was he nice? Did he do his job? You're like, awesome. You'll call him back, you know? You call your plumber back. And so in the same way, it's like, you know, you'll call that producer back if you have great, you know, chemistry and like, you know, you're just serving the song. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
Awesome. Oh, yes, I'm gonna throw that in right.
I was just gonna add, so me and Trevor, we're partners. We've been partners for the past 7 years, and I feel like a lot of people, and Sam and Nikki, I feel like could add on to this, is that we have like 2 or 3 hour conversations before we even start the song. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, like we work with an artist where the conversation went on for 8 hours. And we just, honestly, and that's just to get to know one another. We just want to make the environment comfortable. We want to get to know the artist. We want to make sure that we serve the song like what Trevor was saying. And I feel like that's really, really important. For all the producers and songwriters out there, it's really important. Yeah.
There's a rule that I joke about with friends. If it's a session's at 1 o'clock and it ends at 6, right? That's 5 hours. It's a 3-hour hang. It's a 1 hour write, and it's an hour to track. That to me is if you're doing like a pitch day, and if it's pitch, anything after 6 p.m., if you've given 5 hours and you have nothing, you say, hey, we're all talented here, let's go get coffee, let's reschedule. Don't try so hard to nail a song, it's okay. But I think a real session, you talk for like half of it. That's the vibe, and the song will write itself. And if it doesn't, that's okay.
And honestly, I feel like it calms your nerves.
Yes.
Instead of just like jumping right into it, it really calms your nerves.
Yep.
Like, that's real.
No, I love that. That was wonderful.
I feel like that's a really important question, though.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's important to serve the artist.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, and leaving your ego at the door. That's huge, 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 huge. All right.
There's a lot of ego. I just want to add that one more thing, Trevor. The one thing to do when an artist is playing you their stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Pitfall, Trevor. Pitfall.
Okay, this is a stupid story, but
This is what you don't do.
I was in a session and an artist was playing their demos. We asked, what have you been working on? They're like, this is what I've been working on. They played the songs. And, you know, I'm like kind of listening. And I was like, hey, you know what? That reminds me of a Black Eyed Peas song for whatever. So we played this Black Eyed Peas song, and I just kind of bobbed way harder. And the artist goes, I noticed you really like Black Eyed Peas. I was like, I mean, they're cool. And then she was like, yeah, I mean, you just bobbed way harder to them than to me. And I was like, I'm sorry, I did not serve the song. Yeah, just check your ego at the door. You're here for the artist. You're trying to build them up. That's it.
Thank you guys.
Don't build up the Black Eyed Peas. We already got it. Good story.
Okay, Sam, this is my last question, and then we'll open it up to the audience for all of you. Sam, I know you release all of your own work independently, which is, I just respect that so much. Yes, so important. What's your take on new artists looking for publishing record deals when they're first releasing music?
Okay. Like Nikki, I was also on a label, and it was a nightmare. So I will say, And not in the sense that what she said, you know, your dreams come true. You're like, oh my God, I've done it. But the work actually gets way harder once you sign, way harder, harder than you could ever imagine. So I guess I'm gonna separate this into artist, label, and then artist publishing, if that's okay. How many of you in here are artists? Can you raise your hand? I'm curious. Cool. How many of you are also, keep your hands up if you're also a songwriter. Raise your hand if you're songwriters, producers. So cool, dope, I love it. I just wanted to do a participation question, honestly. That's okay, yeah. I was like, how many, who's a Libra? I'm just kidding. No. But so, what I'll say is, like, to piggyback off of what everybody else was saying, I think the very first thing, if you're gonna put out your music, make the music that you need to make, not the music that you think you need to make. It's a really important thing. Because if a label finds you, and to answer the label question, no, you do not want to go blind email so-and-so at Atlantic Records. They won't open it and they don't care, I promise, okay? I'm writing with all these people, we were doing great songs. I know every A&R at Atlantic, and not one person has been like, yo, Sam, I love your artist stuff. Because if they wanted to, they would. They will totally find you, I promise you. The same way that, like, you watch those CIA shows and it's like, how are they in my living room? Labels will find you. If they are interested, I promise you. So what you need to do is keep your head down and make music that you love. You don't want to wake up, when you get that record deal, you don't want to wake up and have to remember who you said you were, right? Just know who you are, know your sound, it's so important. Okay, that's number one. Number two, no, I don't think you need a record label, but I get that it's cool. So here's what I think, we're in a really cool area right now where you can put music out online. And I personally don't believe that virality is indicative of a hit artist or a hit song, ever. I think there's no way with how many songs go viral that that's what's gonna go #1 every time, but I respect it, and I think there's always something to learn. And I think as an artist and a songwriter, if you ever wake up and you don't have something to learn, you should seriously reconsider what you're doing. Seriously, there are so many people, what can I learn from this person? What do I love about this, right? So if you are looking for labels, and that's something you're interested in and you really want that help, I will say this, there are DSP distribution platforms that you can release music on. And if you want to do it completely independently, write this down if you need to, TuneCore, CD Baby, right? That's like level 1. Level 2 would be, if you were on a major label, they take like 85% of your master. And good luck if you ever get any of that back, right? But now there are distribution labels and platforms that you can partner with. Examples, if you want to write these down, 1RPM is one, 1RPM. Venice, 45, I think is one, and a final one I will throw out there is AWOL. These are companies, you go on their website, you actually can submit your songs, write down a little bit about who you are, see if they'll reach out to you, and what they'll do is they'll split the master with you. Hey, you take 40, we'll take 60, or 70-30. Typically it's in your favor, and what that does is it's a small amount of money, you're not gonna get 20 grand handed to you. You fund your own music, you put it out, you do it. But they'll offer you a little bit of a marketing budget. And that's really helpful because you have a better chance of getting editorial playlisting, maybe if they're gonna help you out, right? That's awesome. And I think just go from there, but as long as I call it rinse and repeating, just make music, love it, put it out, try to play some shows, post about it, make some TikToks, rinse and repeat. Just keep doing it. I promise you, you will find your people. It's like an algorithm. Your fans, your people will find you. I'm still learning it, right? And I'm doing it myself as well, but you will get there. Publishing-wise, I was told a very long time ago, don't sign a publishing deal unless you have a hit or you need the money. And the money is enough that it's life-changing, and you can hopefully recoup it and pay it back. Because we think, oh my God, I got a $100,000 deal, and I'm gonna buy a Tesla. No, because if you don't make that money back, you are stuck in that first option until you are a great grandmother, I promise you. They do not let you go, they won't, okay? And if you are an artist, the question that I would ask is, do you want to write for other people as well? Because if you do, 100% look for a publishing deal. And again, publishing deals, they will find you. But a great way to get started, I used to hate when people were like, they'll find you. I roll my eyes at it, but I never believed that. But it really is the truth, and I think they can agree. The right people really do find you, but a great way to get started is if you are a member of ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, okay? Their job is to make you feel comfortable and have a community. My first start was that I emailed people at ASCAP. I went to every ASCAP event, I went to little showcases, and I said, hey, I'm Sam, can I maybe get a meeting with you? Hey, you, I loved your showcase, can I buy you a coffee? Can I buy you lunch and ask you questions? You put yourself out there, and if they like your music, and do that only when you are prepared, because you get one shot at it. And if you have a mixtape and it is whack, even if you think it's good, don't ask your mom, okay? Ask your friends, have them be real with you. Reach out to people and say, hey, can I send you some songs? I'd love to get some sessions with some people. You're not going to get in with Beyonce. I mean, we all wish, right? Let us pray. But I'm just saying, you will get in with people and it will be a great start. And from there, maybe they'll love you. They'll spread you to your friends, their friends. And when you can start writing with people that maybe have publishing deals, that's how I got started. The people I wrote with eventually had deals and I didn't. And I got my first offers and got my first meetings from going from there. I hope my track is making sense, but I don't think you need anything. I think you are in a really good place right now where you can do it all yourself. But those extra things of a publishing deal and a record deal, they're so helpful and they're so awesome, but they will find you when the time is right. So make music you love, keep doing that, and make friends. If you want to write with Lauv, before Lauv was Lauv, he was Ari, and he lived in New York, and he had some friends. And they wrote a song called I Like Me Better, and it blew up. Before Frank Ocean was Frank Ocean, he was Frank, and he had some friends in LA. And now everybody wants to write Blonde, right? Find your Frank Ocean, find your Lauv, find your Nikki, you know? Find your person and just make friends and make good music with the people you make music with. Everything else will follow, I promise you that. That's my answer.
Mic drop. Sam, come on.
I have terrible ADHD, so I just talk a lot. I'm sorry.
Amazing, thank you, Sam. We're gonna.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
there's a point that she made that I really hope you guys take to heart, and that is record companies will find you.
Yeah.
Doing A&R, we have lieutenants all over.
Yep.
That's what I call them, lieutenants in every state, in every city, because you really want the regional records.
Yes.
That's what you really want. So don't think that they won't find you if it's something special, but they will. They will find you, they are friend to friend, everything. Now, and the other piece, when she says, when you get that deal, your whole career goes into a meeting like, so imagine we're all A&R people, there's one CEO, and everybody's fighting for money, for videos, for promotions, and that, and so on and so forth. And say that I'm Rob's best friend, and he's a CEO. He's a CEO, right? But imagine I go, hey man, that Trevor's group, I ain't feeling it, man. I think you should drop it, right? Trevor's so hyped about his group, but me and Rob, we're going out to dinner. I was like, yeah, you should just drop it. And then tomorrow, hey Trev, man, I'm sorry, man, I'm not feeling your group. It's over. And I'm just telling you, it's so real. You've got to be so special in what you do so you can make them change for you, keep you. Because I'm telling you, your career is based on an executive meeting.
Yeah.
I don't like them. I don't. Nothing else. That's it.
Last thing, I promise,
Yeah.
last thing, I swear. To kind of go off of what they said in this, it's so great. The last thing I will say, and I say this with the utmost amount of respect and love in the world, think of a record label as the laziest person that you could ever meet, okay? And that's not to say that they're not unbelievable. What I mean is they know that TikTok is free marketing. Nothing's going to radio. Why? Because they get money from the streams. And if it blows up on TikTok, it goes to streaming, maybe we'll go to radio. And we don't have to though. We make so much on the master side, we've made this money, we're good, right? Labels are lazy, so if they want you because they know that you already do everything yourself. Look at this kid, she makes her own music videos, she puts her own music out, she already knows who's gonna produce her records, she's helping to fund it. I wanna sign her, and by the time they want you, you probably won't even want them.
That was my point.
And you say,
at that point,
yes.
you say no thank you
And
because I
say-
already did it.
And that's when you say, how much? Because I'm already good on my own, so what's the check? Is this gonna change my life? Can I retire my parents? Then you know what, Atlantic Records? I'd love a cool $1 million and my Tesla, right? So just remember that. Just, you wanna be your own label for as much as you can be, and then by the time they want you, treat them as business partners. They need you just as much as you need them, okay? And that will be the way that you move forward. And the same with your publishers. Make them your family. Don't sign just because you have this big song, because then all they want from you is your money. Wait, make sure they listen to your other songs when you go into that meeting. Say, what was your favorite song from that playlist? Test them. Make a family out of it. Get great relationships, and that is how you will do it, okay? Thank you.
So we're gonna open the questions up to the audience members. Yes? So remember, you can toss it and you can catch it, okay?
Can you just talk into it?
It's not working.
Oh, it's not working.
Try again.
Yeah, I think you threw it too hard.
Bring the mic down, too. I know. Here.
How heavy is it?
Here, you stand it too.
soloist and a producer. I've done some performances. I don't think I'm good at it yet. Also, I don't have much of a social media presence right now. I wanted to know like recommendations of how to pursue a career if you don't think you're the kind of person who's supposed to be a social media reach type person.
Yeah, you want to take that?
You're speaking to
Especially
my
in the
introverted heart.
Sorry.
I said you're speaking to my introverted heart. You know what? There's a lot of artists out there that I think we're not really primed to be entertainer, like celebrity entertainers that are showing all aspects of our lives all the time. I think there is a certain breed of artists that wants to retreat into their own headspace and have their own thing that they don't really share with the world. Their process is much better that way. It's taken me years to figure out that I don't necessarily like a big collaborative environment. I like to work one-on-one with somebody because I feel more comfortable that way. So for me, it's been a real struggle with social media for me to promote myself in all the ways that people make you feel like you need to promote yourself. But that's where I would lean into that 2 out of 10 thing. It's like maybe you're the type of artist that you want to get those 2 people out of all these people in the room. I want the 2 that are going to connect to my distinct, acute message that's specifically for you or for you. And that's it. I'm not out here trying to catch a lot of fish with a big net. You know, like, and I think that's where, if you're that type of an artist, focus on what that is. Focus on your message, focus on your authenticity, your perspective. Being an artist is about having a perspective about the world. So maybe that's just taking enough time to live and know what that is. What matters to you, what's on your heart enough. And if you believe in that enough and it's consistent in your message and in your music, you're gonna find your fan base. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I just want to give you a nugget, if you don't mind, really quickly. It's just, you know, when you introduce yourself and you say what you did, but right immediately you follow that with, you know, I don't think I'm good enough yet, right? It's really important that you guys understand that that wasn't even necessary. I'm just giving you a nugget, right? So it's just like when people play songs for us and they go, well, you know, but I'm not really finished with it yet. It's not done. Then don't play it, right? Don't play it, right? If you're working on yourself, you're working on your career, just say, hey, I'm a work in progress, right? You want to really frame getting rid of the negative connotations to your craft, because as soon as you say that to people that have been in the business, our ears just go, well, we know you're not ready. So, you know, I'm just giving you that nugget to think about out there.
Disclaimer equals doom.
Yeah.
Don't disclaim.
Yeah, don't do it.
Just go for it.
Thank you
You're
so
great, You're an
much.
artist, you're a producer.
And that's it.
And you're beautiful. That's it.
Thank you. Okay.
And you're 40%.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Remy. I'm an artist manager and a photographer. This has been a great panel, by the way. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome.
My question is, as a manager, I'm noticing, artists, they love to create, right? Create. How do you get them to also care about the business side more? So any recommendations, tips?
That is such a great question. There's a book that I've been recommending for probably 20 plus years. Are you all familiar with Donald Passman?
Yes.
So he wrote a book called Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business, and it's a reference book. And he rewrites it or updates it like every 2 or 3 years as the business changes. So I would start with that.
It's Bible.
It is so great. It's like going to the library and checking out a reference manual on something. But it talks about management, it talks about percentages, it talks about your team and how to create one and who's important and who do you need first, who can you wait on till later. That's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
So Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman. It's a fantastic book.
And I'm going to give you another little alternate view on it, right? Here's the thing. Think about it. So when I'm doing A&R and I get that artist that comes in and they've got songs and then they start telling me about what they know about their digital rights and what they know about the music business, and I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. The thing that I tell young artists is try and find a great attorney, right? Because you can't read those contracts. They're forever changing. I need you to be the best in your craft that you can be, right? The best that you can be, because I'm not going to send those contracts to you, right? I'm not saying don't learn about it, because you should, but don't focus on it like you're going to sit in those negotiations, because they're not. An artist has to be the best that they can be. And if you put that other stuff, if you put the business in an artist's mind, it messes it up. That's just my nugget, this is my view about it. Just
right, a little bit of knowledge.
You need a little bit. I call it being a smart artist, okay? And I think that you should tell your artist that. Because when you get a record deal, you realize they're not paying for that. You are. It's all recoupable, and you're not making any of that back. Just a little bit, enough. You don't have to be in the meetings, but I think it's really cool actually to know. I went to Berkeley and I went for music business. And then someone told me, stop doing music business, focus on your craft, you're really good. And I said, cool, but I'm still gonna take a couple of classes. Okay, because it's really cool when you talk to your lawyer and you say, hey, pub, I want 75-25 or blah, 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 whatever. Just to have a little bit of knowledge of what they're saying, but get a team that you trust so that you know that they can handle it. Because some creative brains are very type A, maybe like me, or I don't know if you are, where you wanna know that. Some people don't wanna know, like he's saying, just focus on the creative. If your artist is someone who can't know and doesn't wanna know, I would say do that gentle nudge of, I got you and you trust me for that, but there's some things I just wanna run by you. Yes or no questions make it really easy for them.
Hi, I'm Tori. I'm also a recording artist and songwriter. So I had a couple questions, boss has one. So in terms of like finding your sound, what would you say is more like the difficulties with finding your sound and then sticking to that? Because it kind of like develops like within your brand and everything, and like you don't want to go too far off of it, but you also want to have like, I guess my struggle is I'm a very versatile artist. So because of that, it's hard to kind of put it in a box, because you don't want to necessarily put it in a box, but you want to make it boxed enough so people can recognize what it is, if that makes sense.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Give me 5 of your favorite artists right now.
Yeah. Kehlani. I like Tusi.
You like who? I'm sorry. What's
Tusi, the rapper.
Oh, Tusi. Oh,
the rapper.
All right.
On the spot, man. Let me think.
Well, give me one more.
Okay. I would say Adele for sure.
Okay, so
Yes.
take all 3 of those artists, and I want you to go home and I want you to really study them and study their craft. Who are they and why are they that way? And then within yourself, take their best qualities and take your qualities vocally or even personality-wise and try to mesh it together and see what you come up with. And I feel like that is where you find yourself. And it can go either outside of that. You can go as deep as Michael Jackson or the Beatles, or you can, stay in the Kehlani and the Lizzo world. But really find who you are through your favorite artist.
And the artists you named, something kind of interesting, something that I think is interesting is the artists that you've named have all had very different types of albums. The production's been different almost every single song, which is probably why you feel that way. But the one thing that I think stays with her, with Kehlani specifically, their voices. I think their voice is kind of their brand. I look at bands like the 1975. The whole album, it's like one thing is all strings, one thing's guitars, right? But Maddie Healy's voice, as you go, I know who that is. So I think when you're starting out, pick your 3 favorite songs from all those artists, make a playlist. Take the chords from those songs, just the chords, switch the chords around, try to write to just those chords. And just kind of experiment. If you were to write a song for that artist, what would it sound like? And you probably would get your next one, Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was gonna throw in just the concept of food. If you were to make a burger right now, what would you want on this burger? What do you want on your burger?
Well, I wouldn't eat the burger because I'm vegetarian.
Okay, there you go. Okay, thank you.
I wouldn't eat it.
There you go. So you're like, I only eat vegetarian. That's something you like. That's something you chose. So as you're making music, you have certain preferences that you like. That I eat burgers with meat and you don't. And so we're different. And so you have a different, perspective on things. And so as you're making your music, you're gonna choose certain ingredients to make out of, for your restaurant. And you're gonna go sell it, because that's what you do as an artist. You sell your songs, and people are gonna eat at your restaurant. And so you're gonna I think you should find those ingredients that you really love. And to piggyback off of what Zaire said, the artists that you grew up listening to, those are kind of indicative of what ingredients you gravitate towards. You might like something that Kehlani does, but then you might like something that some random country artist does for some reason. And so those are different ingredients. So think of the ingredients that you love, and that's how you'll kind of define who you are.
Build the burger.
Yeah.
Chat box. You ready? There's a guy right
sharing as well. Hey, just one quick question, and I saw that your portion of the panel was focused on getting a record deal. I'm glad we kind of shifted more towards independent. Our group is completely independent. We're totally fine with that. We love it. But I feel like we've reached a certain plateau where we need some help. And I just want to know if you have any advice in terms of resources for artists to get that development outside of a record label.
Do you have a manager?
We do not.
Okay, I would say the very first thing is the team to help you move that forward would be my very first thought. But I want, if anybody else wants to take this.
Team is important. No, I was just gonna say, yeah, what Sam was saying, a team is important for sure, 100%.
And especially a team that's got your back.
Yeah.
100%.
If they got a bunch of other artists and stuff, and they're like, oh, this is our guy, we got these people too. Like, if they got your back, that's gonna be a huge game changer for you.
And then how do you go about finding that team? Or specifically,
they find you.
Specifically a manager, because that sounds like that's the next step for us.
Well, you know what? One of the things that, like, where are you guys based out of?
We're in LA.
You're in LA. So, you know, I'm from Chicago originally. And so when I started doing A&R, I would just travel all over. The one thing that's tough about LA is it's very hard to build a regional record, right? So many artists are signed out of the region, you just don't know about it, right? So we'll go, when house music was jumping off in Chicago, we go sign these artists there. When Atlanta had their thing going with Usher and all these groups that were coming on out of there, we would go there and try and get the regional records. In Sacramento with, Club Nouveau, it was a regional record. All these records are regional. So you gotta find a place where you can go and make it hot right there, right? From there, then, like we were talking before, reach out to ASCAP, come to panels. You might find somebody that might match up with what you do. Because there's no looking through the want ads, this is gonna be the perfect person. It's just like finding an artist. You're just gonna, if you keep at it, you will brush up against someone. You will just brush up against them, and then that will be the thing. And in the meantime, you would be prepared because you've been doing the work.
And if you're looking still, I would say, since you're in LA and you're like, well, where do we start? Even me, I just recently got a new manager, and it's the hardest thing in the world because you don't want to post on your story like, hey, unrepresented. It's like, what's the line, right? I would say go to some shows. Now, I'm not saying go to the forum, right? Go to some shows of some artists or bands that you like that maybe you feel are just a little ahead of you. Like when you're watching that one person you compare yourself to online, right? Go to their shows, ask them, say, hey, if you don't mind me asking, can I be connected with your team? Have lunch with their manager, and I'm not saying steal their manager, God, but I'm saying ask them, say, hey, I love what you do with them. Do you have anybody that kind of does what you do that you could recommend for us? And stick within your kind of pond until you move on to the ocean or whatever's next. Don't Google who Frank Ocean's manager is, right? You're probably not going to get a response. But I think go to shows for people that you think are in the same lane as you or getting close or somewhere where you want to be. And ask them, like I said, for coffee. Find out who their team is. Find out who their agent is. And just say, hey, I just want to send you our stuff. We're doing really well. Here's our stats. What's your quick 2-sentence pitch of why you think you deserve that next level, like you said, right? And you will. Next thing you know, you're Brockhampton,
Boom. Thank you.
All right, we have one more question, and then we have to end this panel today.
Hi, is this working? Okay. My name is Kimberly. I'm a vocalist and I currently work in the industry. After many years as a vocalist, I realized that I hate performing in public. So I've sort of began to focus my efforts on co-writing with other artists because that's really where my passion is, songwriting. So my question is, what is your advice for somebody who literally wants nothing to do with a stage or performing and just wants to co-write with people?
I would say put together a catalog of songs that you've written that you feel represent you as a writer in the best way possible, and start playing them for your friends, start playing them for people, start reaching out, even posting things on SoundCloud or on TikTok. I see so many writers nowadays that are like, I wrote this today with my friend, what do you guys think? And then the song ends up going viral, and it's like, things never used to happen that quickly. There used to be so many different filters of people that you would have to get through before a song could get to its audience. And I think now, even as a writer, if you don't want to be the performer or singer on the record, There's still a place for you to be marketing your music on social media now. It's a different space now for writers and producers to market ourselves. So I would use that tool, definitely. And yeah, develop what makes you unique as a songwriter, because just like artists, the songwriting world is so oversaturated with just so many people that want to just write a bunch of songs. But I think the people that we notably look up to, like if I think of Pharrell, I know what a Pharrell song sounds like, you know, just instantly off the top of my head. And I think the greats are the ones that figure out what their thing is and learn how to evolve alongside of that thing the whole time throughout their career, keep learning and growing with that thing. So yeah, find out what that is for you. But yeah, it's you don't have to do the singing and the performing if you don't want to.
A lot of writers don't.
I want to give her one nugget. If you don't mind, I just got to give you the nugget, okay? First of all, you gave like a 1-minute speech about how you hate being a vocalist and you hate this and you hate that.
Vocalist, just performing.
A performer, right?
People,
So
yeah.
how about just give that up, right? And just come from the standpoint, man, I want to be the best songwriter. I love writing songs. It's a small shift, but trust me, it's going to bode you well in the future. You don't even need to say that part wasn't even necessary, right? So let's give up all of that negative connotation, right? You know, as you guys can tell, I'm big on that. Like, don't even say that, you know, because you want to, you know, don't turn people off when you say that, right? Because then now the thought is, oh man, what kind of performer were they? How bad was it? Can I YouTube it? Where is it at, right? So let's just give that.
It's not bad. Don't get it twisted. It's not bad.
Conservatory Instagram so that you can follow us and just, you know, be friends and ask us whatever questions you want outside of this. Thank you for coming. Have a wonderful, wonderful NAMM Show.